Hi, it's Janelle. Today I'm going to do a book review. This is of the book Hair Story. This is by Ayanna D. Bird and Laurie L. Tharps. And it's a book I literally just finished reading yesterday. So why I chose this book is I wanted to find out more about hair, how it had changed through history, through time, and people's feelings about their hair. Yeah, I thought I'd get this book, read it, and it definitely did that for me. I definitely feel like I understand more about the history of black hair. The layout of this book is that it starts off in 15th century Africa, West Africa, and it talks about the importance of hair, that it could denote a person's background, name, etc. And that only people who had in some way kind of more spiritual connections could be hairdressers. So they also had special combs, and these combs are passed down from generation to generation, and the hairstyles were ornate and had a lot of significance. So it starts off with that, and then it goes to times of slavery, so how black hair was perceived during slavery times. It talks about the hierarchy in plantation society, so to speak, and the idea that if you were light-skinned, more than likely you were related to the slave master. And so often those light-skinned slaves were in the house working directly with the master and his family. They had more access to like hand-me-downs, sometimes better education and better treatment, whereas the darker skinned people were working the fields, had back-breaking work. This is the concept. So I'll just read you a bit from this chapter. So, as the lighter-skinned, straighter-haired slaves, men and women, continued to carry favour with the whites in power, a skin shade, hair texture hierarchy developed within the society structure of the slave community. There were the light-skinned house slaves and the dark-skinned field slaves. The light-skinned slaves were said to have good hair, and the dark-skinned slaves to have bad hair. Good hair was thought of as long and lacking in kink and tight curls and frizz, and the straighter the hair, the better. Bad hair was the antithesis, namely African hair, in its purest form. White slave masters reinforced the good hair, light-skin power structure in two ways. By selecting the lighter-skinned, straighter-haired slaves for the best positions within the household, he showed they were more desirable. At slave auctions, he would pay almost 5 times more for a home slave than for a field slave, showing they were also more valuable. Black people themselves, internalizing the concept within their own ranks, propagated the notion that darker-skinned blacks with kinkier hair were less attractive, less intelligent, and worth less than their lighter-hued brothers and sisters. There's no such thing as good and bad hair, and just the idea of your hair being kinky and being bad is just ridiculous. So to me, knowing for a fact the origin of that idea just really kind of helps put it into perspective for me. They also speak about like some black hair pioneers like Madam C.J. Walker in particular, and her business promoting black hair care made by black people for black people, about her training, you know, having her own line of products, training salespeople to go door to door to promote her products, having I think it was in 1918 she had 68,000, a sales force of 68,000 people, and she had 240 staff, I believe, working for her, and she sold her products to the Caribbean, to Mexico, all around the US. I mean, she was like a pretty amazing woman, and she was, I think she was the first self-made black millionaire in the US, which is really amazing considering probably only about 50 years or so previously she would have been in slavery. So from the conch in the 50s to the black hair movement in the 60s and 70s, the Jheri curl, relaxed hair, weaves, braids, locks. It talks about those styles, how they were received initially, and you know, the origins of them in some cases, and you know, who made what products, which company started how, and it really goes into detail, which I think is great. And then it talks about people's kind of personal experiences with their hair. So, you know, from childhood, maybe being teased because you have straighter hair, or being teased because you have kinkier hair, going to work, feeling like you have to explain why your hair looks a particular way, why it's styled in a particular way. And pretty much, I would say towards the end of the book, it kind of says it's more about, the hair is not so much of a political statement now, it's more kind of fashion and lifestyle choices, but at the same time that we still have this idea of beauty that's been promoted in the media and so on, of, you know, having straight hair, lighter skin, and that being more attractive. And that's like something that came from like slavery times, which is pretty depressing. But at the same time, it's good to know about these things, and at the same time, I think hopefully things are changing now. This book was published in 2001, so it makes me think, if it was written maybe 10 years later, that there would have been a bit at the end about the natural hair movement, because I think that is really about people educating themselves, taking the time to learn about their natural hair, and feeling more empowered about their hair and what to do with their hair and how it looks, and accepting it's not their natural texture. So maybe that would have been in the book, but who knows. But anyway, I think this is a really good book, and definitely very informative. It explained a lot of things that I probably somehow knew the answer to in the back of my mind, but reading the facts and details and quotes helped to bring it alive and helped to make it more understandable for me. So yeah, definitely, if you are interested in any more of these topics, have a look at this book. It goes into much more detail than I can in this book review, and I don't want to spoil it for you. So that's it for now. Take care, and thanks for watching.